Guys, it's been awesome having you listening, and we would like to thank you for your time and also your 5-star review, which now you are going to go into a trance and go to iTunes and put a 5-star review and tell AJ that he's amazing, that Simon is the most amazing presenter on podcast iTunes history.
Welcome to the Fitpreneurs, the show that will help you flex your business muscles so you can make more money and live the life you really want. No more complaining, whining, or being a wimp. It's time to pump up your fitness business and push yourself beyond your comfort zone. So no girly man or lazy ladies allowed. It's time for me to do some push-ups and turn things over to my friends AJ Roberts and Simon Lovell. Hasta la vista.
Welcome to the latest episode of the Fitpreneurs. This is Simon Lovell and my very strong co-host. It's the master himself, Mr. AJ Roberts.
Hey, how's it going, Simon?
I'm good. I'm in my Supergran? Oh my god, do you remember Supergran? Superman dressing gown. I've had a tough workout today. I had my shower and now I'm ready to drop another episode of this amazing show for fitness professionals all around the world.
Awesome. So before we go on, of course, if you haven't yet headed over to our website and opted in for our newsletter that gives you all the updates on when the shows goes live, head over to thefitpreneurs.com, get signed up with that. Also, head over to iTunes, subscribe if you haven't yet done so, give us a 5-star review, and of course, if you don't have an iPhone, there is apps that you can get for your other devices, and you can still go rate us over on iTunes there.
Yeah, you can also connect to us personally, facebook.com/boylevel and facebook.com/AJ Roberts.
One day you'll get that updated so it's not boy level.
I know. Do you know where that comes from? It comes from back in the day. I like my Skype ID is like my old business name from when I knew nothing about marketing, and it's the Heat Fitness, and that's actually was my business name when I first started as a trainer.
That's probably your Hotmail address, right?
I want to do a shout out to a couple of people who have messaged us on the page. We do read these messages, guys, and we are thankful for your interaction on the page. Craig Rosser says, just wanted to say thanks, guys. I'm new to the industry and already finding it a struggle after having to leave one gym because the rent for the place was so high and I'm going it alone. Having listened to a few of your podcasts, they have greatly motivated me and given me ideas and research points to develop my business. Still in the early stages, but I wanted to say thanks for basically stopping me from quitting. AJ, there's another one.
Cool. This one's from Joey Hudson. I just started listening to your podcast. I'm very excited to learn from you guys. I'm a private trainer in LA who travels from house to house in Beverly Hills. I either bring the weights to them or they have their own home gym. I'm very interested in expanding my business and finding ways to make more money monthly, considering these clients tend to travel a lot during the summers. I also have a client who is looking to invest in the gym in LA and let me have me run it. So these podcasts are going to be a great start for me as well. I totally agree with you, Joey. I think these podcasts are going to be awesome for you, especially if you implement and take massive action on what me and Simon share every single week.
Action, action, action. Guys, this episode we're going to be talking about how to really position yourself in your brain and the action that you need to take to become a 6-figure trainer. There's lots of different success principles, and so we're going to be going through these in this episode. AJ, your thoughts on really the mindset before we go over these top 10 kind of success principles. What's the difference that you spot in kind of those that are on the lower range of the income versus heading into 6 figures?
I think the biggest thing is seeing yourself not as the doer, but as the business owner or the marketer of the doer. So what I mean by that is a lot of people own their job, and so they're self-employed, but they own their job. And what you really need to be able to do is change your mindset to realize that what you do in terms of the actual training is a skill that can be taught to others, and the real magic is in your ability to get new clients and to grow and expand. And if you can change your mindset so you don't think about, in terms of doing the training versus growing the business, that's the biggest shift you have to make in terms of the income. And then in terms of accepting the money, I heard a great line from Jesse Elder, and it says, he said that money comes to those who expect it and accept it. And I think that like a lot of people, and I know with trainers I've worked with, one of the biggest things I see is oftentimes they're not making a lot of money, or they don't have a lot of money, and so they feel guilty almost asking other people for money. They assume that other people can't afford it based on maybe the way they dress, the car they drive, the job they have. And I think the biggest hurdle they have to get over if they want to be successful, be a 6-figure, 7-figure trainer, is that if they're going to grow, they have to be willing to take people's money and realize that you're not taking away from them. What you're doing from them is you're giving them a gift. They're investing in you to get them a result. And so the money they pay you is a small fee for the change that you're going to make in their life. And so, mindset-wise, you have to kind of start to think bigger and then change your relationship with money.
Yeah. In my opinion, one thing that holds a lot of people back from shifting into that 6-figure trainer mentality is really the belief around the industry in terms of what can be earned in what time frame. There's so much association that it takes X amount of time to get to this certain income, and we're so conditioned, based on parental kind of upbringing, all of this stuff. If you don't believe that you can do 6 figures a year, by the way, it's very important to break that down monthly also. If you don't believe that you can hit around 10K a month, and that belief is set in your brain, you don't believe that, then it's not going to happen. You have to start understanding that you can't look at what the majority are doing. You have to put your brain in what the minority are doing and be one of the top 5%, probably actually more the top 2% that's going to work on your mindset, and then all of the other stuff will start to follow.
Right, and I think that's the biggest thing you have to understand, like you said, is have you been conditioned to think a certain way, and what truth lies in those conditions, what truth is really there. And most of the time what you find is there's absolutely no truth in it. If you see other people breaking through, you see other people reaching new levels, then you should think more along the lines of, if them, why not me, versus, I couldn't do that because of this. And I think that that's one of the strengths I've always had, even from a young age, is I've always been able to look at a situation and say, has someone else already done this? And if the answer is yes, then okay, how did they do it? Especially if more than one person has done it, the question you have to ask then is, how did they do this? Or what is the formula, so to speak, in order to do that? And once you can see the pattern, the formula, then you can just basically replicate it. And you don't always hit it out of the ballpark by following that formula, because your journey is your journey, and you'll experience your own ups and downs, and there'll be things that crop up and blocks that you have that kind of hold you back and prevent you. But the biggest thing to realize is that if someone has already achieved it, then it is achievable. And I've told this story before, but basically, if you look at the 4-minute mile, back when Roger Bannister broke that, no one had ever done that before. It was considered, record-breaking when he did that. However, now, if you don't run a 4-minute mile, then you're not really considered a good runner. And it's funny because back then, it was a barrier that no one had done before. But the minute that one person had done it, it changed the mindset of everyone else that it was possible. And like I said, now if you don't run it, you're kind of, not even considered a good runner. Same thing was true in powerlifting when I was training in powerlifting. When I began training in powerlifting, what was really funny was 1,000 pounds was a big squat number. And then when I finished my career, 1,200 was that big number, 1,200 pounds. And it was amazing to see when I began how few people had squatted 1,000 pounds. And when I finished, myself being one of those people who pushed the boundaries and did a 12 or 5 squat, the amount of people now squatting 1,000 was phenomenal. I couldn't even tell you how big the list is. And that's because once a barrier has been broken, the mind shifts. And so if you are, not sure if it's something that's possible for you, you really just need to go find the people who've already done it, or surround yourself in an environment, whether that's, through coaching groups or events and things like that, with people who are proving that it is possible, so that you can see the patterns. And what you'll probably find is that they're pretty much just like you. The only difference is they're following a specific formula, or they're doing certain things that you're not doing. But in terms of their personality, their ability, their gym, their location, they're no different than you, and their business is no different than yours. And so it's really easy then to, I guess, imitate and model what they've done in order to break through. But it does start with that mind and just accepting that, hey, if someone else has done it, then I know it's possible and I should be able to do it as well.
There's no way that 2 years ago or even a year ago, I would have known that I could be doing 6 figures a month, let alone, even over a longer period. But the more that you get pushed out of your comfort zone and the more you keep on ascending your income, the more you start to have other things start to become a reality, like getting the fast cars and getting the holidays and, having real choices about the lifestyle that you want to create. Because I remember a time when I was just dreaming about all of this stuff that I wanted, like meeting Richard Branson and doing all these other crazy things that I've now managed to do. And I wasn't, handed a silver spoon. I've literally hustled and taken myself from nothing and grown and grown and grown and continued to grow. And now, as you start to see that momentum and growth and you see yourself progressing just like a client does in the gym, you know that you've taken a client and, they didn't even expect to maybe stand on a bodybuilding stage when they first came into you, kind of overweight, lacking in confidence. It wasn't in their focus of vision. But what's happened is that over time, as they've gone through their timeline of journey, they've started to get more confident. They've started to believe in themselves more, and the progression has carried on and going on, and then it opens up opportunities. There's people that have become athletes that never believed that they would have ever been able to maybe, get fit themselves. And so what you have to understand is that the same principles apply with the business and income. Anything is possible, but you have to first of all be aware of where you are and understand that you need a mentor, you need a coach, you need to be pushed out of your comfort zone, because the stretching, just like when you push a client to, do an interval speed at a different speed or push themselves on the prowler or do anything that really stretches their mind and capability, then it's the same with the business. Same, critical.
Right. And I think what's so important, you mentioned it there, like, there was a time where you didn't even think it was possible, but it was because the people you surrounded yourself with, no one was doing it. So there was no examples for you to follow. Once you're a part of a group that shows that it's possible, then it opens the floodgates. And I remember the first Maverick event that I was on, and as our listeners probably remember from previous episodes, to be a Maverick, you have to have a 7-figure business. And now, of course, Simon, you're a part of that group, and we'll be going to Necker Island together and doing all this awesome, freaking cool stuff. But like when you get into that group and you start to see different business models, what you'll find is it's like there's a certain business model for 6 figures, there's a certain big business model for 7 figures, there's a certain business model for 8 figures, there's a certain business model for $100 million a year, there's a certain business model for $1 billion in terms of a company. And what you start to see is okay, here's the structure, here's what needs to be done. And so then the question's not, is it possible, but it's, what do I have to do? And so, when you go from when you're going for 6 figures, that's a very attainable thing all on your own without a staff. Like, you don't need employees to do 6 figures. You can pretty much do it on your own if you know how to price your packaging. You're not selling sessions as we've talked about in our becoming a high paid trainer episode we did back. I don't even know what episode that was, but you guys can go back and listen to it. But we talked about the way to position yourself and how to charge more. And when you do things like that, making 6 figures is easy. The next question is 7, and what you'll find is if you push to do that, to go from 6 to 7, you're going to have to hire. And so you need to learn how to manage. You need to learn how to hire properly. And so these are new skills that you have to acquire, or you decide to bring someone in who has that skill set for you. As a great business owner, you don't have to learn everything. You just have to be able to manage and control everything. And so you start to see that with the groups you're in. You start to see what's needed in order to be successful at the level you want to play. And then you can determine what is it that you have to invest in, what is it you have to learn, study, what events do you have to attend to in order to acquire the knowledge, the skill, the confidence, the ability to build the business that you want to build.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through top 10 in no particular order of really success principles that that's 6-7 figure earners really adopt, and this is more around the mindset as opposed to the strategy. And number one is taking risks. This is really key, because if you're not willing to take risks and you stay within your comfort zone, which is what I'm going to talk about a little bit later, then you're not going to open yourself up to new opportunities and possibilities. You've got to be willing to do things that other people won't do. And so that means, going out and potentially talking to people that other people won't talk to. It means investing in yourself. It means, putting yourself out there and really just being willing to share your awesomeness. You've gone into this industry for a reason, and so you shouldn't hold back. You've got to, go balls deep, so to speak, and just really take risks, learn from those. Don't, if you get a so-called failure, just learn it as use it as a signal, and just learn from the mistakes that you've had, and don't repeat them again. And the quicker you can do that, the quicker you can, have the knockbacks and pick yourself up, the faster you're going to get results.
Yeah, it's all about being able to take those risks in the face of fear, and being able to, confront your fears head on and be willing to dive off the deep end, basically into the deep end, right? You got to be willing to jump. You got to be willing to push. You got to be willing to put it all on the line in order to take the opportunity that is in front of you. And, taking risks is, I think, pretty much a fundamental skill that very successful people have. Oftentimes they become super calculated risks as you progress, and usually you're on the winning side. But, you have to be willing to do that and to take that risk in the first place if you want to really, move. And I think that's the key. We talked about it before, is just being willing to blast through the barriers that are holding you back. And you do that by putting yourself on the edge.
Yeah. Number two is you've got to be results driven. You can have all the marketing in place, you can do all that stuff, but if at the back end of your business you're not getting results, and obviously you don't really have a business. And so something which I've prided myself on with the coaching that I do for Fitpros is I'm just so results driven. I'm always looking at minute ways to just improve the service to my clients so that they get faster results. I'm always looking at little things that I can do to shift, to bring things into the program so that they can get results faster, and I'm not holding things back. If someone comes into my program, I'm just trying to get them the biggest change as quickly as possible, because that will condition you to a different way of thinking. And you have to do that in your business. It's like if a client comes on board and they're not getting results with you, it's like find out the reason why. What challenge have they got going on? What do you need to change in the training that gets them to think a different way? If there's a problem, then it's all about getting people to change, and it's understanding their psychology as much as it is the training, the nutrition, the fitness. What's going on in the mind of the client, because they've got other crap going on in their lives. And oftentimes you believe that they're not turning up to sessions because of you, or you may not be turning up to the sessions, a lack of commitment, this kind of stuff. But really you probably don't know the deeper challenge that they're having. And when you do, you can start to bring in things so that they're more committed, they're more fired up, they're getting results quicker, they're talking about you more. And then when you do all the other stuff, the marketing, all the stuff to bring clients in, you're just going to get so many more referrals, so much, you're going to also elevate your state of mind when it comes to how successful you are, because I know what it's like if a client doesn't get results, or it's going to knock you down, and that can put you into self-doubt, and then you don't want to market yourself, and that cycle can continue and just decline. And so being results focused is key. But also saying that, it doesn't mean that you need to do course after course after course after course on being a better trainer. You've also got to invest in the marketing skills too and balance it out. Because I see something very common, which is, continuing to invest in more and more courses when really you can get a transformation now. It's just other parts of the business need to be changed to get people more committed. So you can often run yourself into the ground by spending too much just hammering all the courses when really you need to shift focus sometimes and ask, is this really a new course I need to do, or do I need to change something within the business that I can just do myself that will increase results?
Right, and I kind of look at it like a game, right? Like a competition. And I'm very athletic, always have been in my life. So when I moved into the business world, like I just turn everything into a game. And I'm results driven in the sense that like I just look at it as if like this is the ultimate goal, right? So if you were a football player, it'd be the Super Bowl. If you're a basketball player, it'd be the NBA championship. But you don't build a franchise team overnight. It takes years of putting together the right people, building the right thing, taking small action towards that goal. And so for me, it's all about being competitive and competing against yourself. If you're super competitive like I am, oftentimes I pick other companies to kind of go after in terms of I want to build a company bigger than that company, or I want to make a bigger impact on the world than those guys are, because that's what drives me. So it is about finding out what drives you, but you have to be results orientated in terms of measuring your success along the way, and you got to say, okay, like did this move me closer or further away from my goal? And when you do that, success is inevitable.
Yep. Number 3, imperfect action, more actions. If you are taking 3 actions today to build your business, then you need to be taking 10. Okay, so more actions in the business, and most people want to get everything perfect before they put it out there. If they had a cure for cancer, do you think they'd be worrying about the color of the ebook on the cover? The cover, if they put it out, not that they're going to do it via an ebook, but you get the idea. They're just going to want to get the information out there, and so your ability to just get stuff out there without it being perfect and just getting your feedback and then changing it then is key. If you're spending months in your head going, it needs to do this, it needs to be like this, it needs to be like this, well, how many people have gone and invested in someone else, and really you could have just got it out there, helped change someone, then just use the feedback that you got based on what you put out there to create the changes then. That's key.
Yeah, perfectionism is a disease because there is no such thing as perfect, right? There's not a perfect way to do something. If you look at your clients, there's never a perfect body. There's never the perfect relationship. And so, you have to be willing to take imperfect action. You have to be willing to just move and kind of stumble your way forward. There's that saying, an entrepreneur jumps off a cliff and builds a parachute on the way down. And so, that's what it's all about, because if you do start thinking about, well, if I put this out and this is what could happen and this is what may be a result of that, what you'll do is you end up tearing yourself down before you've ever actually launched. And the reason for that is there's always something that could go wrong, right? Just like there's always something that could go right. So, you have to just get comfortable with being uncomfortable and, pushing forward regardless of whether, the stars are aligned and you got all your ducks in a row. You have to just be willing to move as fast and as furious as possible.
I was recording a video today and I was doing it in the studio, and, I made a couple of mistakes. I was looking in the wrong point at the camera, and Steve, my trainer, punched me in the head a couple of times with some boxing gloves. And it was just completely wacky, and it wasn't perfect at all. But did I do another take? No, because people can see that that's real and it's actually quite funny. And so what you believe that you need to perceive yourself out there to be is actually the opposite of what people want to see in most cases. So, if you just written a blog post and you're sat there just worrying, I'm not great when it comes to spelling and grammar, right? Which is hilarious coming from a book author. But you can outsource that, or you can just put it out there. If there's a couple of spelling mistakes, better the information to be out there with a couple of spelling mistakes than not at all.
Awesome. Number 4, think about return on investment, not cost. And
yes.
I love this one because I actually had this conversation. Trainer, he's running Facebook ads right now, and Facebook always is doing a dance, always changing something. Things are more expensive. You got to change, going direct to content. There's always something with Facebook that's changing. But right now, I would say Facebook is the best lead generation source there is, because the majority of people are on Facebook, so you can reach a lot of people. And then they have a lot of other cool stuff behind the scenes that they work with different companies that give you, ability to really target who you're going after. But my point with this is that it was costing him, when we spoke, it was costing him about $600 to get a buyer, right? But the package he was selling was the lowest was $1,800. So he was making a 3x return on investment on his ad spend. Unfortunately, it was difficult for him to see that, because where his business is small right now, he saw it as a $600 expense versus a $600 investment. And so you have to think of it in terms of, if you think of it like that, you're doomed, because you'll hold back and you won't reinvest the profits, right? Because if you think about it, if you get 600 gets you one, and then you make 1,800, and you turn around and you put the extra 1,200 back in, now you get 2 clients, turn around and do the same, now you have 4. Within a couple of months, you're going to have a good amount of new people. And then if you've got your back-end systems in place in terms of referrals and follow-up and all this other stuff, then that's going to snowball super quickly. And so you have to, it's not really an expense, it's not a cost, it's an investment. And your return on investment is, 3x, 10x, however it is, based on your willingness to reinvest and continue to invest in your business.
Yeah, I caught myself earlier. I was setting up a new brand for something I got, which is called Studio on Steroids, and I was about to invest in the branding for you, and I had a couple of options of how much I wanted to spend, and my brain started to go for the lower option, but I caught myself, and I was thinking, well, in terms of what the investment is for this program, and in terms if I make it better quality, I've got to look at the outcome and the return on investment of something which is higher quality, not by saving money, doing it cheaper, and then people not investing in it. So it's very important, guys. This is so key. Is you can't think about the number. The money's just money. You've got to think of what you're going to be getting in return. I did a post on my Facebook page earlier, and I was offering out a consulting day this weekend, and someone commented, how much? And it's just, there's no concept of return on investment. And actually someone posted below, you've got to think about the return on investment, not the cost. Because, if you were hiring, say, Richard Branson, and his cost for the day was $50,000, but you had his knowledge on how to build billion-dollar companies, you think the cost of, and I guarantee it's a lot more than $50,000, all right? But you get the idea. It's not about that actual cost. It's about what it would bring you to invest in that. And this is a key concept. And the thing is, most trainers, and we understand why, it's just this business skills. It's just business skills. And the reason for this podcast is to make you aware of this, is that you haven't been taught this stuff. And so it's a key distinction in thinking that. And when, if you want people to invest in you, you've got to think strategically about how you're investing to get to where you want to be in the business.
Yeah, I think that is a good point. A lot of people see the number and are shocked by the number, because they still don't understand the value that they'll receive. They still think in terms of trading time for money, right? And you've got to remember, it's the same as if you're delivering your personal training service, right? It's the same, your classes, your boot camps, your studio services, group stuff, whatever it is you're selling. Are you selling someone the time that they're in the gym, the hour they're with you, or are you selling them the result that you're getting them, right? And I talk about this in prescription selling, but the key is that the value you deliver is not what they pay for. Right? So that's where return on investment is so important to understand, because if you don't see things as that, then there's a good chance if you're trying to sell your clients on that, they're not going to buy into it because you don't buy into it. So you have to understand that working hourly is such a low thought process in terms of value, because 15 minutes with me is going to be way more valuable than your business than 15 minutes with, your next door neighbor who doesn't know anything about, building companies. So would you pay me the same as you paid your neighbor? No, you would pay me significantly more just to get your biggest question answered. Why? Because the value that I bring is so much greater. The same as why your clients should be paying you more than any other trainer, because the value you bring them far exceeds the investment. And so that's the mindset you have to be in, and you have to be congruent with that, not only in your business, but in your own actions if you want to succeed as a fitpreneur.
Yeah. Also, be very careful, guy. AJ makes an interesting point in that around you, there's going to be, people in business. There's going to be people that you can get free information from, but you've got to be careful because it can take you down the wrong route because they're not specific to the fitness market. They might have ideas and they may have things that you want to do, and it's what's relevant to the industry, and it's so key that you understand that. And so I've got to remind you that this episode is about understanding the way that higher income earners think. So these are all the principles. So high income trainers understand that it's the return on the investment, not the cost. So key principle there.
Yeah, exactly. So number 5, we've talked about this many times before, but it's your circle of friends, who you hang out with, who you call when you need a question answered, or who you go to when you need good solid advice, or you need a slap in the face because you're not doing what is expected of you. So the people you surround yourself, I always say really the 5 people you surround yourself are the exact representation of the person you will become. And so if the 5 people you're around are lower income earners than you, not as successful as you, there's a good chance that you're going to be capped. Maybe you'll even go backwards because the conversations, the mindset, the thought processes, all of those things are going to influence you. On the flip side, if everyone you hang out with is more successful than you, there's a good chance you're going to raise your game and you're going to step up to that higher level. If your client's overweight and they hang out with overweight people, there's a higher chance they're going to go to a restaurant and eat bad food than if all the people they hang out with are super healthy. There's a good chance that if they entertain through food, it'll be at someone's house with good healthy food. And so you just got to kind of think of it like that. Think of it in terms of income and business. And so if you're hanging out, and my strength coach, Louis Simmons, when I was training at Westside, he had a great saying. I think it's appropriate here. It says, if you run with a limp, if you run with the lame, you develop a limp.
Love it. Listen, I'm all for positive reinforcement, but I'm always challenging my clients, and you need people to challenge you against the grain, because oftentimes you can surround yourself with people and you're like, what do you think of this? Yeah, it's great. No, it's shit. Like, seriously, it's like, I may not say that, but what I'm saying is that it needs to be challenged. You need to be challenged and told the correct things to do. Because if you're always being praised for what you do, but the person that's praising you and saying this is right, this is right, this is right, but actually then you put it out there and you don't get the result that you want, then you can have a negative association not only to the advice that you've gotten, but also the thing that you've put out. And so being challenged in the people that you're around is key. And by the way, I rarely say it's shit, but I just
usually say that to you.
You just call me a pussy all the time. Seriously though, I've talked about that on a previous episode. When AJ calls me a pussy, I get frustrated, but it's under challenge that we get the biggest transformation, because it breaks our normal pattern and it actually makes us rethink things. So with my mentors, when I've been challenged, I've had my biggest growth. And people hire me because they say, Saya, no BS, no BS, no BS. In fact, on my application forms for new clients, I ask this question. By the way, this is a good tip. So when you take on a new client, just ask them, what are 3 or 4 reasons why you hired me in particular? And I ask this question on new client forms. And the 2 biggest things I get is that, actually one of the big ones is Fitpreneurs, but also it's the no BS side of me and the confidence. Okay. And so that's a part of being challenged. So there's a little tip for you on something you can do when you sign up a new client. Ask them what's the reason that they invested with you. And then you're going to find out what strengths you have and what you can focus on in different conversations. But challenge develops growth. In fact, when you challenge, when you challenge and criticize, it develops the masculine side of you, which is really important in both males and females. When you praise, it develops the feminine, and that's a key distinction.
Yeah, I thought you were going to tell everyone to run around calling their clients pussies. But the thing
let us know on the Facebook page how'd that go.
There's an art to coaching, and you have to know what motivates individuals. And when you are dialed in as a coach, you know what is going to motivate someone. Some people respond to the in the face, the attack, the challenge. Other people have to be positively praised. They respond in a different manner, and so you got to figure that out. And hopefully you're surrounding yourself with people who know what motivates you. Right.
Yeah, it can actually be very dangerous to hire someone that you feel, they would be really cool with me because they're kind of my personality. And personality is important, by the way, that you connect with someone. But in terms of that person would, praise me. Actually, sometimes it's best to hire the person that you really feel would challenge you the most and would be the opposite of you sometimes.
Exactly. All right, number 6, purpose-driven. Be purpose-driven. So the money's great. Right? The money's awesome. We all want to make more money, but the truth is there has to be more substance than that. You have to have a bigger mission, and you've got to know what that mission is. You've got to know what your why is. And it's so important for you to figure that out, to figure out what it is what mark you want to leave on this earth. What do you want to be known for? How many lives do you want to change? How do you want to change their lives? What is it that is going to actually get you up every morning and drive you through that day, every single day for the rest of your life with the most passion that you can have? And I think, if you're struggling right now as a trainer, you struggle to get up and go and train your clients. You struggle to spend the time in the evenings working on the business because it's the only free time you have. You struggle to, not go out with your friends, to have fun on the weekend when you don't have any lead generation going on. And so instead of sitting there and figuring out what you're going to do to bring new clients in, you're just, distracting yourself. If you're struggling, the reason probably is because you haven't figured out what your purpose is and you're not driven by that purpose. And so you should spend a little time in reflection. You should go go for a hike, go for a drive, whatever you have available to you, just to clear the mind and really think about if you could leave a mark on this earth, what would that be, and how would and who would that help, affect, and serve?
Hot tub. Hot tub works real well. Love it. AJ, I was going to ask you a question on this actually, which was when you broke the world record, what was your purpose?
So for me, it was funny as I was, began powerlifting, it was just to be big and strong. And as you go, you start to realize the impact you have on other people's life. And one of the biggest things for me was to show people that anything is possible. And along the way, I was always told that I would never be a world record holder. I didn't have the build, I didn't have the strength, I didn't have the genetics, all this stuff. And it was funny because I just disproved people continuously, and it was to show that if you put your mind to something and you go all in, you go 100%, then anything really is possible. And so it was to inspire people who maybe have those doubts and are unsure in themselves because everyone else around them is unsure. It was to show them that if you have that confidence and you have the belief, then no one and nothing can stop you. No one can tell you no. And so that's what really drove me to push the boundaries and to put my body through what I put it through, was just knowing that it was bigger than me and that the impact was bigger than me. And, even to this day, people are still inspired by the things I do, and they followed me through that powerlifting journey, and they've continued to follow me as I've moved on to new ventures. And I'm actually going to be doing a powerlifting meet again at the end of March, just for fun. Just it's been 3 years since I've been on the platform. I'm just going to get back on and do a raw meet. Nothing like I did before. This is not something I'm being serious about in terms of I want to be a world record holder again. I'm just doing it to basically have a purpose to train, a goal to shoot for, and I've set some numbers out I want to do. But a lot of people have been inspired that I'm stepping back on the platform, and so to me that's what it's about. It's about the impact I've been able to have on other people's life and show them that when you're serious, when you're willing to do whatever it takes, then anything's possible.
When you have been squatting, have you ever split your pants?
I have actually never split my pants, but I tend not to wear like short shorts and like tight underwear like you. Can
you tell us an awkward or interesting story from a press you've done or a squat you've done or anything crazy that's happened, just a pure entertainment value in an intermission?
It's not a personal story, but in terms of me, but it is with one of my training partners who I will remain nameless. However, we were squatting, and we were squatting fairly heavy, and they must have had fast food for breakfast, as that's a typical powerlifter diet. And anyway, I've heard a few people rip ass during training and stuff like that before under the squat bar, but this one definitely was a wet one, and they definitely had to go and go to the bathroom and probably throw their underwear away. So that's probably the funniest thing that has happened, because everyone, there was probably 6 of us there, spotting, loading, and when someone rips ass, it's funny, but when it's one of those kind of ripping ass, like everyone kind of is just looking at each other like, did this just happen for real?
So if you have your story of your crazy gym incidents, we'd love to hear them. Please head to iTunes. You can put the story in iTunes. You could also message us on the Fitpreneurs page on Facebook, or you could just share it with your friends. It's a really interesting story that maybe get you clients. I'm always thinking about marketing.
Now I'm a little worried about what we're going to see.
I want to stick on number 6, which has been purpose-driven. I think a lot of times most people get into the industry, as I did, to help more people, and we did this podcast because we want to help you guys, and that's my purpose is to serve, to help, to inspire, to help people grow, to get results, and help people live the life that they want to live. It's not just about the money; it's the outcome, helping people get better holidays and create a fantastic lifestyle. And so I do believe that people can, the trainers have that purpose, but what happens inevitably is you have the purpose, you have the drive, you have the motivation, and you dive into the industry really passionate, but then the business model, the business side of it isn't taken care of. You're not earning what you believe that you could be earning, so therefore the level of education that you've got doesn't match your earnings. And what happens over time is, because there's no movement and there's no growth and there's no business skills there, then you start to lose the purpose because it's not matching what your expectation was. And so that's why it's key to listen to these episodes, to invest in a coach, to start to implement this stuff to help you grow. It's why it's so key, because then you can get back on the path that you initially set out to have.
Yeah. What are we on, number 7?
Number 7.
Number 7 is self-belief. I touched on this on the last one when Simon asked me about why I was doing what I was doing. And really, I'll let Simon cover the second part of this, which is overcoming personal shit. But self-belief, it's funny. The only person that needs to believe in you is you. And yet we all walk around seeking we're seeking certainty, we're seeking acceptance and approval from others, when the only person you need it from is yourself. And I learned that, I don't even know when. It was when I was playing basketball. I set out to come to America, and I did it. That was like, for me, it was like, well, all these people said I would never go to America, and here I am playing basketball now in America. And, I got to experience this thing very early, that, like, screw what other people think, screw what other people say. Like, their thoughts has nothing to do with your ability or what's for you, just because they have limiting beliefs that hold them back. How sad that they think so small, and how pathetic that they want to drag you down too. Like, screw those people. You can do whatever it is you want to do, as long as you believe in yourself and are willing to do whatever it takes. But it starts with knowing that, heck, I can do this. Like, I don't care. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to find a way, and I will be successful. And all these people can think whatever they want. Like, they can think I'm crazy. They can think I'm wasting my time, but I'm going to show them. And, you rarely find any successful person that hasn't had or doesn't have this story of basically proving someone else wrong. Because the world is full of negative people who are who doubt themselves, who have been conditioned to believe that the box they're in is all that they can be and all they can do. And so all you have to do is say, you know what, the fact that I can think this, the fact that I can envision and conceptually come up with the idea for this, that's enough proof that I can do it. Now I just got to go do it.
Yeah. I love AJ's motivational talks. They pump me up. Yeah. So the second part of this is overcoming personal shit. And I'll make this brief, but you have to understand that the personal shit that you are going through, which I guarantee everybody has this, right? Because whatever level you're at, whether you're earning $1,000 a month or $1 million a month, actually more personal shit happens when you're earning more because it brings up more stuff, right? So the personal crap that you've got going on, a lot of this sometimes comes down to relationships and other stuff. It has a direct effect on your business. And so you have to be aware of that. It affects the business. It affects your growth. And people can hold you back. It might be, and oftentimes it can be partners. You want to do something, you want to grow, you want to invest in something, but your partner wants to hold you back. Your partner's got these beliefs around money. Your partner's got this stuff, and they're shifting you and they're stopping you from your growth. You've got to grab some, especially if you're a guy, and this is about the masculine, feminine, you have to stick to your purpose and go and not need approval from the person that you're with. Okay, stick to your purpose, stick to your goal, and you have to follow through with your intention, your focus, your goal. Okay, and me and AJ were talking to my mastermind clients about this in Thailand, and everyone's got this stuff, even lack of belief around can I really do this? Can I really help get the transformations with people? Because I'm constantly comparing myself to other people. So just understand that there's a direct correlation between the personal crap you've got going on in your life and the business. And once you start to understand that and you're aware of it, then you can start to look in how to solve it. And of course, there's lots of different ways in order to do that. We can't touch on that on this episode, but it's key, it's critical, because then once you're aware, you can start to self-develop, you can start to look into people that can help you in this. And that's why I've started to focus more and more on mindset, because it's such a critical part of my coaching to help people overcome that stuff. Because you can have the best marketing and sales strategy and business strategy in place, but if your head's in the wrong place and you don't want to action those, then everything breaks down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Number 8.
So pumped up. Let's keep it going, AJ. Number 8. Let's go.
Quick decision making. You got to be a quick drawer. You got to be fast on the trigger. You got to be willing to, but it goes back to number 1, take those risks. And so you got to make, it's split-second decisions, right? You can't hesitate. You can't wait till tomorrow. You can't get started next Monday like everyone does on their diets, right? You got to go boom right now. Quick decision. I'm in or I'm not in. If you hesitate, if you have to think about it, then you got to understand that someone else isn't. Someone else is out there, and they're willing to do whatever. And so they're going to be one step ahead of you. You're going to be behind. You're going to be playing catch up. And so boom, quick decisions. And they're usually important decisions like, should I hire a coach? Should I not hire a coach? That shouldn't be a question, right? It should be, boom, I need to expand. I need to hire a coach. Go, boom, boom, boom. You got to be quick draw. You got to make your mind up fast. You can't be hesitant, and you can't be waiting around for the answer to materialize in the sky.
Yeah, take the things that take you a week to decide and turn it into 30 seconds. There's a famous phrase in dating, which is those who hesitate masturbate.
And with that, we're completely derailed.
Where's the energy gone now? Bam, bam, let's go. Number 9. Do not see failure as failure. You need to understand that when you make a mistake, when you make an error, high-figure trainer earners understand that when something goes wrong, they just learn from it and they grow. And that's just a key success principle is, be willing, be energetic about, awesome, I'm going to dive into this, I'm going to go head first, I don't care about the mistakes I'm going to make, because when I do that, I'm going to learn something. And that's, you want to throw yourself into that as opposed to retracting and not doing it because of the fear of the failure. So dive through, smash through that wall. Imagine it's a tough mudder, you're diving through, you don't care, you don't know what's on the other side, you don't know whether you're going to jump on the wall and you're going to stand on someone's head and break it. You just do it because you just want to win the race, baby.
Yeah. Number 10. Step outside of your comfort zone.
When I jumped out of a plane in Vegas, it wasn't because I wanted to do it. It's because I didn't want to do it. That's exactly, I'm not even joking. That was the reason. I was like, this is shit scary. I do not want to jump out of a plane. I've got so much fear around it. When I think about it, it tears me up inside to think. And I did it, and I was literally crapping myself. Not literally, because that's the wrong word. I wasn't literally crapping myself, but almost crapping myself. But the reason I wanted to do it, the reason I wanted to do it was because I knew that when I jumped out of that plane, I would have broken through something mentally in my brain. And I think because of step out of your comfort zone is so overused now, you see lots of inspirational images around it. It's so people are so used to the phrase, people don't really understand what it really means to do it. And we're all so conditioned to stay comfortable. And so the reason why most people, most trainers are comfortable, most coaches are comfortable in the business is because, there's a set income every month. It's comfortable to have the overdraft. It's comfortable to have that money coming in. And then what happens if you drop a client off, then you're outside of your comfort zone and you have to go and replace it. That's not a success principle. A success principle isn't, having a client drop off and then you replacing your income. The success principle is going out and hustling and pushing and ducking and diving and pushing against things and getting and reaching outside of your comfort zone. Doing things that majority, as I said at the start of the podcast, the majority of what people aren't willing to do.
Yeah, if you're comfortable, you're in trouble. And it doesn't matter whether you're...
I'm looking daily at stuff that I can get out of my comfort zone to do. Yeah, daily.
If it doesn't matter whether you're a beginner, whether you're advanced, whether you've been in this business for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, if you're comfortable where you're at, you're not growing. And when you're not growing, you're dissatisfied. As humans, I believe it's our... purpose to live the most fulfilled and fulfilling lives that we can, to serve at the highest level that we can, to leave the biggest impact that we can. And if you're comfortable and you're not pushing, then you're really not living. And, just to go day by day and be the same, you're basically just waiting to die. And I can't imagine that being fun. And from the conversations I've had with many people, they hate it, and it doesn't matter whether they're making, $3,000 a month, making $10,000 a month, but making $25,000, $100,000 a month. If they've been stagnant, if they've been stuck, then they're not happy, and they're trying to break through. And so you have to be, like I said earlier, uncomfortable. Become comfortable with being uncomfortable, putting yourself in situations that invoke the fight or flight response, that scare the living shit out of you, that make you go, whoa, holy crap, did I just do that? You do that on a daily basis, then you're going to see how your business transforms. You're going to see not only your business transform, but the results that you get, your clients transform, the relationships around you transform. You're just going to feel and know that you're moving towards the purpose that you've been put here for. And I think that's really all we're searching for as humans. We're searching to fulfill that purpose, and it doesn't happen if we're just chilling.
Yeah. Guys, the best time to move towards being a six-figure trainer is when you're in momentum, when you're listening to podcasts like this and you're hyped up and you're energized and you're vibrant. That is the time to take action, move forward. So what do you need to do right this second? You need to go and hire a mentor, hire a coach, reach out to me or AJ. What do you need to do right this second instead of reverting back into your normal patterns? That's key. Guys, if you've enjoyed the episode, listen, I want you to right this second, just go onto your Facebook and just say, hey, really enjoyed the latest episode, and tag the Fitpreneurs in it so that other fitness professionals can learn. Also add us up, facebook.com/AJ Roberts, facebook.com/Boy Level, so that we can see that and we can possibly interact with you in the best posts with what you say. We maybe send you a Fitpreneurs t-shirt. It's blue, it's white, looks really cool, and you will be badass in the gym wearing that with your guns hanging out. So, AJ, do you want to read the question from Lyndon?
Yeah. So, hey guys, I absolutely love the podcast and honestly believe that it's one of the most important podcasts trainers can listen to. Wow. Thanks. We kind of agree. Allowing them to grow into new opportunities. I just have a couple of questions, and I'm looking to start a boot camp again this summer, and therefore looking to set up a Facebook page for it. I also provide semi-private and private training, so I don't want this to be my only way of getting income. So with that, should I set up a personal Facebook page as well? I currently work with another guy under his company, if that makes any difference. Secondly, I'm currently finishing my degree, so I'm not able to spend as much time as I would like on my business. But during the summer and after my degree, I will be continuing training. My second question, which is really the third, is what are the 2 to 3 systems that you would suggest for me to streamline the growth aspect of my business? Thanks again. Have a fantastic day. So 3 questions there, Simon. Question number 1 is about the Facebook page. And should he have his own and separate for each guest service that he's offering? As he's working with another guy as well. And then the other question is what should he do to grow his business? The 2 to 3 systems.
So for me personally, I've got my personal profile and I've got Simon Lovell Marketing, or it's just called Simon Lovell, which is my Facebook page, which you can go facebook.com/Simon Lovell Marketing, which is if you want to have a look at it. If you're running a different business, for example, a studio, then you would want to have that as its independent Facebook page, because then when you're running ads to that, people are going to look specifically at that. You've got to look at what is the consumer going to look at if you, for example, ran ads, if you did things, because the buyer cycle would be they see an ad, they click on the page, they look at what they're potentially going to invest in, and that has to be congruent with what you're advertising. So you don't want to have any disconnect there. But also you don't want to have too many pages. Okay, so just have a think at if I was, for example, just a great question to ask is if I was to run an ad, a Facebook ad, who is that going to be targeted to? And does the page match that, so that if they went there and looked into the business, does that match the service? AJ, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think, honestly, in terms of pages go, like you got your personal page and then you have your business page, and whether you offer multiple services or not is irrelevant. We sell multiple different things and we don't have a page for each product. Right, we like Facebook page for each product, and the reason for that is that when to be honest, when you're running ads specific to something, when they go to the page, they're not looking for the page to confirm that you offer that product. They're going to the page to see, are you credible? Do you get results? And so your page is really going to be about sharing successes from your different services, and so. When you for the boot camp, for example, if it's all under one roof, so it's the same business in the same location, then I would just recommend one page. But if you have different businesses completely, like different names, and so that like if someone came to the page and there's an incongruency in terms of your boot camp's called outdoor boot camp, and then your studio is across town, it's called something completely different, then you would have different pages, because driving people to one page that it now has different locations and things like that, it's going to be completely weird versus if it was congruent. And so again, it's really going to be dependent on what is actually is it a service that a company is offering, or are they actually separate companies, right? Separate brands. I think that's probably the question you have to ask yourself.
Yeah, and in terms of systems, the three most important systems I would say is the funnel and the system of generating leads, the funnel and system of having a client to invest, the sales system, and also part of the back end system of what happens when a client actually starts. Because if you have breaks in any of those, if you have breaks in the lead generation, in the sales process, like you can't close, you can't overcome objections, and you can't, and then, for example, if you do take on a client, but then they start to drop off because you don't have a system to keep them happy, it's not just about the training, it's about all of, for example, when a client signs up, there's a certain time period in which they need to go into the Facebook group, they need to be trained at a certain time within the initial first consultation, if you call it that, and that's important to have systems, from the moment you generate a lead all the way through to the point that they have a client. And of course, then there's multiple systems on the back end and everything in your business. But those are the key ones I would focus on.
Really, those are the only systems that, in terms of growing the business, that you need is a marketing and advertising system, like Simon said, a sales system, and then a client delivery system.
But there's multiple systems in terms of the marketing, but you just need one that works as opposed to 10 that don't. Right.
This is the three pillars, I guess, that are important. So marketing, sales, and then customer delivery, customer satisfaction. Making sure they get fucking results. You do those three things, and you're going to be doing a lot better. I don't know about you, but most of the people I talk to, that they might be good at sales, but they suck at the marketing. They might be good at getting results, but they don't have any leads coming in, right? So, you got to look at, what do you need the best, and when you have those three things in place in terms of, get clients, sell clients, and get them results, your business will grow, no doubt about it.
Yes. So the weekly challenge, we just want you to write on a bit of paper. If we're talking about six-figure earners, so 100K per year, that's 8,333 per month, that's 277 a day. And then you can start to think about, the business model that you might want to implement to make that income. Start to think bigger. Think like 10 times bigger than you're thinking already.
Yeah.
Once you start to do that, then you're on your way.
And I'll just add something here. In terms of the income, if you calculate out to make 100K per year, you got to make 277 a day. And then what you want to do is kind of look at what you're working now, right? And what in terms of what are you making per day right now? And then figure out if what you're doing right now, how do you get to that number? I think that's the gap, right? So if for whatever reason you're only making $100 a day, then you really need to figure out how do I 3x my revenue. If you're doing one-to-one training, maybe that's turning into small group training. If you're already doing small group training, maybe it's you got to charge more money, so you got to learn how to sell more money. You got to sell higher price packages. If you're not very good at you're selling month to month, then maybe you sell 6, 12, 18 month programs, and you're doing money up front, collecting the majority of the money up front. So just look at if you know the number is 277 a day, and of course if you want to make more than this, just write that number down and then figure out what you got to make per day. Then look at where you're at and say, okay, how do I go from where I am to where I want to be? And the reason I say to do this is I talk to a lot of trainers who say they want to double their income, and I'm like, well, that's easy. You just double your prices, right? Or you double the amount of people you convert. You double the leads that come in. There's so many ways you can double your income. It's not a difficult thing. The question is to look at where can you make the changes. And so when you map out, what you need to make each day, and map out also what you are currently doing, and figure out, what's the thing that's going to make the difference.
Guys, it's been awesome having you listening, and we would like to thank you for your time and also your 5-star review, which now you are going to go into a trance and go to iTunes and put a 5-star review and tell AJ that he's amazing, that Simon is the most amazing presenter on podcast iTunes history. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on another episode of The Fitpreneurs.
Guys, thanks for the killer episode. Listen, if you want to take your fitness business to the next level, terminate your competition, create ultimate freedom, buy new houses, cars, which could blow up, travel the world, or open your own gym where you can lift really heavy weights, then head to www.thefitpreneurs.com/free call for details on how to apply for your free accelerator call. Until the next episode, hasta la vista, Fit Pros.